Hey, party people. Who's here? Hello. Peachy 3435 from Canada. Where in Canada? Canada is very big. Do, do, do. Why isn't this working? Hello from San Francisco. Hello, Patrick Wood. Hello, G2 from Los Angeles. Amaris from Georgia, USA. Thank you. Hello from Australia, New York, St. Louis. About to go through the tunnel. Do you live in the North Bay? Charlotte, Tulsa, CT, Connecticut, I'm assuming. Philippines, Hey Arpy, Tucson, Manchester, Algeria. Whoa, that's a first. I know I had to miss last month's AMA. And I missed y'all because I love our little AMA sessions. And I hope everyone's doing well. And if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah. You guys see my Christmas glasses? They don't stay on my face. I was trying to put them on earlier, but they slide right down. So I couldn't get them to stay on my face. But Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, all the holidays that you like. Tunisia, England, South Carolina. Wow. All right. So many. Texas. Bourbonnais? Where is that? I need to work on my geography. All right, first question. Hey, Zoe, I'm still having trouble deciding if I should attend design school or not. It seems some employers want to see a degree and some don't. Help from New Orleans. Well, if you want the long answer, you should watch my video, Do I Need to Go to School? But, if you want to work for a big fashion company, like you want to move to New York and work for a big fashion company or move to Europe or LA, you're probably going to want a degree because a lot of companies, they filter through resumes. A lot of the big companies where there's like hundreds of people and they don't have the time to look at every resume. They scan resumes for keywords. And one of the keywords is whether or not you have a bachelor's, a BFA, a BA in a fashion related degree. And I mean, that's the reality of it. The other way to get a job in the industry is to know people. Some people start by freelancing and then build their reputation through freelancing to get them an in at the company. So bottom line, it's going to take you some time either way, like building the network and building up your freelance experience and building up any kind of experience and knowledge and getting an in with specific companies, or spending the time going to school and building your network at school with your teachers and your fellow students, and then using that network and your degree to get a job. Either way, it's going to take some time, and you're going to have to decide what's better for you. If you want to start your own fashion company right off the bat, you don't necessarily have to go to school, but I would recommend you get some schooling, like take some classes in design, take some business courses, pick up a book on business law where you live, Louisiana, New Orleans, wherever you are, pick up a book on business law in your local area and educate yourself, spend that time educating yourself before you start your business. Okay, let's scroll back up for some questions. Zoe, I have a question. Am I taking on the challenge of design knit kimono and suggestions? I don't really understand your question. You want to design knit kimono. That kind of depends. There's like a lot of options you could go with that. So, if you're talking about traditional Japanese kimono that are cut like traditional kimono, you should probably go buy one. There are a lot of places online where you can buy a vintage old kimono for as little as $30, $40. They won't be in the best condition, but if you're just studying construction and shape and things like that, then go pick up an old vintage one to study. I'm always promoting people, buying old thrift vintage stuff and studying construction. A lot of Westerners, especially, use this word kimono to mean any kind of robe. And it's incorrect, but it's what people use. So, depending on what you need, go study the construction and possibilities of kimono. And then with knit, I don't know if you mean like, t-shirt jersey knit, like this kind of thin whatever knit, or like chunky sweater knit, something where you really see the individual yarns. And you can go in the direction of cut and sew knits, where, you cut out the pieces out of a yarn, out of a knit fabric, and then sew them together like woven fabrics. Or you can knit them. Fully fashion knits are when you knit the garment stitch by stitch and you design the shape of the garment with your stitches and not by cutting and sewing. So those are a lot of your options that you can explore depending on the specifics of this challenge that you mentioned. Hi, watching from Kenya. Hello, Kenya. Mariah Carey's 19th number one hit, All I Want for Christmas Is You. I grew up listening to Mariah. I love her. Congratulations, Mariah. You deserve all the number ones because your voice is gold. Honestly, she's one of those people where even if you don't like the kind of music she produces or sings, you have to respect those vocal cords. Like same as like Whitney Houston, like you might not like that music, but you can't deny that voice. Anyway, I don't know why that came up, Joshua Samuels, but here we go. I have a master's degree in systems engineering, but I want to do fashion design. Well, go do it then. There are people who go into fashion that come from different paths. If you watch that interview with Kathleen Fasanella, she talks about running a sewing factory and working with former accountants, former engineers, go for it. Massachusetts. Sasha from France. Hi, I have a question. Do I need a pattern in every size, or can I have one pattern and have the factory make every size using adjusted dimensions? Yeah, you want to go talk to a grader. That's grader. Grading is a process in which you take your sample size pattern and you make the bigger sizes and the smaller sizes according to the measurements that you want in the size range that you want to sell in. And there are, they take the digital pattern and they make it bigger or smaller. And I get so annoyed every time people ask me to do a grading video. Like I get a lot of requests for grading videos. I'm never going to do a grading video. I have one video where I get a demo on grading software from Kathleen Fasanella. And that's it. Because I'm a designer and I've graded one t-shirt just so I could learn the process. Designers don't need to know about grading. They need to know the sizes that they want to make their stuff and, the measurements they want their stuff in, but they don't need to actually know how to manually grade patterns. It's not their job. So you can go see a grader about grading your patterns. A lot of these vertically integrated sewing facilities. So, vertically integrated means that they have all the services within one company. So, they take your pattern, or maybe they even do your patterns, and they do the grading and the making the markers and cutting, sewing, finishing. Like, they do all of that in one place. That's a vertically integrated facility. Those kinds of places, they will have a grader on staff, and that'll be part of the services you pay for. You don't have to grade. Where? Oh, I lost my place. Oops. You're welcome, Michael. Is it okay to do online classes? Yeah, as long as you're attending, if you want that degree, if you want some kind of certification, you need to take online classes at an accredited school. Make sure that it's a legit educational institution. How do independent designers that are not Americans can get a fashion job in the US? I have a master's degree in fashion, seeking advice. That's an immigration thing. And I don't have a lot of experience with immigration law. I have a friend who is currently in Korea right now, waiting on her visa paperwork. So because she got a job as a pattern maker in the US. But honestly, and this is probably going to be discouraging, but this is the reality, is there are a lot of people looking for work in the US in the fashion industry. And dealing with the immigration paperwork to bring someone over from another country and sponsor their visa so they can stay in the country and work for the company and eventually get their green card, things like that. That's like a big hassle for a lot of companies. And so you are going to have to be so talented, so above and beyond anybody that they can get in the US in order for you to get a company to sponsor. But bottom line, when you are looking for work, whether you're using like a recruiter, headhunter, like 24/7 or something like that, you need to be upfront with them from the beginning that you're going to need a visa, because that is that is a nasty surprise for recruiters if you do it like deep in the interview process. They generally don't like that so much. Some people, they will give advice like, oh, let them fall in love with you first. Because it's not like, there are things that are illegal to ask your employer, your future employees in the interview process. Like, you can't ask them if they're pregnant. You can't ask them how old they are. But things like, are you legally allowed to work in the US is a question. So I'm having trouble doing faces and croquis. I'm a college fashion major. Well, that doesn't really explain anything because it kind of depends on what in fashion you want to do. But if you're a designer, you want to be a fashion designer, and you're a fashion design major. I had this conversation with someone in my Facebook group the other day. Faces are really not that important. Here's the thing about faces. They don't tell any story related to the design. Okay. When I teach illustration or tell people to practice illustration, I'm talking about telling a design story. So whether your mood is dark and gloomy and creepy and it's like black and brown and, it's super goth and there's like cobwebs everywhere, you want to express that by drawing it correctly, drawing it beautifully, having that right line quality and letting the drapes of your garments work and things like that. And faces aren't super important to telling the design story. And I don't think my faces are that good. And I don't care because I'm a designer more than I'm an illustrator. So on the flip side, people like looking at pretty faces. It's true for modeling. I mean, we work in fashion. We like looking at pretty things. It's like you just have to accept that. That's the way our psychology is, especially for people in our industry. So people like looking at pretty faces. It attracts people to keep looking. And that would be the only real goal. But if you're having trouble, it's just practicing. I have a whole series on faces on how to do like standardized fashion face proportions, and you can study that. But honestly, if you have 10 things that you need to practice, and fashion faces to me is like at the very end. Like I'd rather you guys understand pattern making and the intricacies of tailoring and how to express your design by rendering fabrics better. Like those things are more important. History was made. Black female winners across all 5 major beauty pageants. Right. Joshua Samuels, do you listen to that podcast, The Read? Because they were talking about all that today. I love that podcast. It reminds me of my best friend. When you studied in Japan a few years ago, did you enroll in a specific program? Did you sign up for classes? It was not a school program. So one of my old design teachers from Otis 100 years ago, she found this Indigo, like 10-day Indigo textile workshop run by this dude who's been living in Japan for the last 30 years, studying textiles and natural dyes and grows indigo. He has a tea farm. You have to take a train like 2 hours outside of Tokyo to get to this tea farm and indigo farm. And he grows silkworms and, harvests them and weaves silk in his farm. He has all these looms set up at his farmhouse, and he grows indigo and harvests it and has 2 vats of indigo going 24/7. You can be dyeing all the time. And they're natural indigo, not done with chemicals. And he started teaching these 10-day workshops, and they're intense. Like you're working 12 to 14 hours every day, learning and practicing, doing all these stitches and dyeing and, rinsing, because it's natural dyes. You can rinse it out in the creek and all this stuff. So he's really cool. And so I've taken 2 workshops with him. The original Intro to Indigo, and then another one where we learn how to hand stitch hunten jackets. And that's HANTEN, hunten, not hunting. Hunten jackets, which are old school firefighter jackets made out of denim. So all of that was super cool. I'm still in touch with him. He still does workshops. I think there are things that are similar out there. Unless you really want that degree or certification, you can go find classes. But working with him, he's like a walking, talking encyclopedia. And, having conversations and working with him and taking those lessons have encouraged me to, study on my own. I did another workshop here in California, stuff like that. I would like to know your take on starting a men's swimwear business, supplies, anything else you have to share. Okay, ARE, if you're going to do a men's swimwear company, please don't do yet another freaking company where it's just ugly prints, like Hawaiian style prints on knee-length board shorts that are like the sweatpants of swimwear. And I'm not saying that because I hate them. I'm saying that because 200 million billion of those companies already exist. You need to carve yourself a niche that doesn't exist already all over the place. So my suggestion to you is to just completely deep dive into men's swimwear, see what's out there, see what's being sold, see what's not out there, and focus on what's not out there, but looks like people are looking for that kind of thing, and go into that. Okay. Because there's no point in going into an already overflooded market. DevCat, or is it Devi Cat? It's Devi Cat, I think. Is it becoming more of a trend for fashion design departments to transition their program to a technical design degree? How do you think that will change the industry? So, just even like 20, 25 years ago, every fashion major was pretty much fashion design. And it's only been recently that we're starting to get all these niche degrees: fashion merchandising, fashion journalism, marketing, all these different degrees, which is great because there's so many things to study within the fashion umbrella. And technical design is important. And I have had a lot of students where they're like, I just like making stuff. I'm not super invested in it has to be my design. Also, this might be a controversial opinion, but whatever. Anyway, so number one, there are a lot of people out there who think they can design without school, that they're already good at designing and they don't care. And so they don't want to take design classes, but they're aware that they don't know how to make clothes. And so they just want to go to school to learn how to make clothes because they think they already know how to design. Some people do already know how to design. A lot of people don't. Whatever that is, schools are also a business. And people hate thinking about it like that, but now more than ever, schools are definitely a business, and they see what students want. And so they need to offer that, which is smart of them. It's like, oh, give them the classes that they want. And so they're offering these technical design degrees to these people who think they know how to design and just want to learn how to do the technical stuff. Another take is, there are so many people out there in design and they want to get into design, but it's really competitive with design. So this is another way in. Some people, there are a lot of reasons, but technical design is good because it does offer a lot of skills. Like the technical design program at the school I used to teach at, they taught Gerber, which is not, Gerber is pattern making software and it's the industry standard. And Gerber is like Adobe, it's expensive. It's the industry standard. Is it the best? But, Gerber is typically not part of your fashion design program, but your technical design program will cover Gerber, will cover grading, get more into tailoring and pattern making than your standard fashion design degree. But yeah, I do think that, more and more people don't want to be told how to design. They think that, because so many celebrities, just slap some crap together and sell it, and they hire a really good pattern maker to put it together, that they don't have to learn design. I don't know, but I think it'll swing back. It's a little bit to me like photorealistic art. So for centuries, art that really realistically portrayed people and places was the trend. Like all of the Renaissance, all of neoclassical art, and then you get to Impressionism where things started getting more and more abstract. And so for about 150 years, abstraction was the thing. All these different ways to abstract, from Impressionism and Cubism to abstract expressionism. Like it was all about abstraction. And now the pendulum is swinging back to realism because realism is a skill that people don't have anymore. And so people are like, whoa, what? I think it might swing back. Any advice on attending Text World's trade show? That's really a vague question, you can watch the what is that video? Do y'all know what video I'm talking about? Sourcing at trade shows video. It's in the fabrics playlist. You can go check that out. I lost my space. I work as a production assistant here in LA. I have to measure TOPs. I went to school here, got my AA in fashion design. I always wanted to do technical sketches, but it's hard. I don't know where to start. Technical sketches are flats. You need to learn how to do flats. The queen of flats is Robin Schneider. You can look up her. She has a lot of YouTube tutorials. She has guest lectured on this channel on how to use Photoshop and Illustrator, but she has way more tutorials on her own YouTube channel. Let me write her name for you in the chat. And you can just, if you use the search bar on YouTube, you'll find her. She has 1 million Adobe Illustrator tutorials. She's great. She also does LinkedIn classes. What's your zodiac? I'm a Sag. It was my birthday last week. Hello to Mexico. I absolutely love your channel. Every point of reference. Thank you. Happy holidays to you too. Like on Insta, you talked about a book. What book? Sorry if I'm misremembering. Oh, you're talking about my book? My book, I'm writing a yes, I am working on a book, and I'm working on a fashion design instructional. And what it is going to be 101 fashion design exercises. I'm going to be giving you homework assignments on things that you can do to practice different aspects of the design process. And the text is done. I'm doing the artwork right now. That's why I'm doing videos once a month right now, because I'm trying to spend as much time on my book as possible. Do you follow Bernadette Banner? I don't know who that is. How did you find a factory to help produce quantity? This is going to sound so douchey, but they found me. And then I started doing some sampling with them, and that happened to work out. But there is a website called fashiondex.com. I'll put that in the chat. Fashiondex.com. And they have listings, contractor suppliers, fabric suppliers. It's an index, fashion index. So go check out and start clicking on, start locally where you are, because it's really nice to have a sewing factory that is geographically close to you. So you can go check up on things if they have a question and they need you to look at something. You can drive your little butt over there and just take a look at it without them shipping stuff. And so you have higher quality control. That's why the sewing factories in the garment district in New York were so important for a long time, because you got higher quality control. And that's how the factories, the garment industry in LA started booming, because LA had geographically more space for all these sewing factories and for these, more high-end fashion designers who wanted tighter control on their quality. And so they wanted to be near the factory. And so they would boom in LA and things like that. So go look around your local area first. It doesn't have to be local to you, but look first. Hi, Zoe. Are there resources online on how to utilize social media marketing to specifically build a following for a startup fashion brand? Not that I know of, where I can be like, oh yeah, they're super great, go see them. Because, I don't want to guide you to the wrong place. But There's a lot of stuff out there. You're going to need to start Googling some. Lately, hey, Julian. Hey Zoe, lately I've been having troubles with creativity. It's like if I just go blank. How do you be creative and design a whole collection from scratch? Um, there are a couple things going on there. One, you could be trying to do shortcuts and just start sketching when you think of an idea instead of working out the entire fashion design process the way I teach it, which is to pull together your inspiration, work on your sketchbook development, and develop your colors and fabrics before you start sketching. And I get this pushback a lot, like, Zoe, nobody does sketchbook development in the fashion industry. Why do you teach it? Why do you promote the teaching of it? And to me, school, it should mimic the industry in some ways, but it's not exactly going to be the same, because the lessons you learn in school are to train your brain to work in the industry. It's like when you're in school and you write these 5-paragraph essays that are in a very specific format, but do you write like that when you go out in the industry? No. But those essays teach you writing skills, organizational skills, syntax, grammar, things like that. Sketchbook development is teaching you to train your brain to look at things in a different way, so that some people will see a leaf, but with training, you will see a leaf and you will see a shape, you will see a color, and you will see many colors. You will see the veins and how they branch out and how they can develop a cool print. And if you layer these sheer leaves together, how that looks and how you can arrange them to form a print that you can abstract. And when you do sketchbook development, you are training your brain to think this way. And every time you do sketchbook development for another project, you train your brain to do it faster and faster, so that when you're working in the industry, you're doing it automatically. You might do some sketchbook development for funsies, but for the most part, your brain has been trained to think about it automatically. I don't do sketchbook development anymore. I gather my inspiration and look at, I put together a collage of images that I think are super cool. And then my brain is like firing away, and I'm starting just to make lists of things that I think are cool and want to incorporate, because I've already done the training. So you need to start from scratch. You need to work out your sketchbook development. And if you run out of ideas, go visit your sketchbook again and go off on another tangent. Think of something in your original inspiration images that maybe you neglected. Put Kenya on the map. My dentist is from Kenya. She has a huge map of Kenya right in her office. I see a map of Kenya every day. No, not every day. Once every 4 months. I'm currently at university studying fashion design. What else can I do while studying that can help me become a better designer? Really focus on your studies and just do the absolute maximum when it comes to your design projects. And I would shop. And I mean, go to the store, not just shop online. Shopping online also is helpful, but I would shop. And when you're shopping, look at what's in the windows versus what's in the store. Look at the sales section, see what's not selling, because that sales section where everything is 70% off, those are the rejects. Those are the things nobody wanted to buy. So you should get your face in the sales section, feel the fabric, like, oh, did nobody buy this because it's itchy? Look at the colors. Oh, like sometimes, when you go to the sales section, there's like 10 t-shirts of one color, right? In all the different sizes. And you got to think, what's wrong with this color? What's wrong with this fabric? And start taking notes about what's in the sales section. Like if 1 or 2 items of a thing is in the sales section, okay, whatever. But if you see 10 things of the same style in the sales section, something went wrong with that style. So you should go study it. Okay. And you should study how people are shopping. You should also, like I mentioned before, study garment construction and go into nicer stores. So even if later on in the industry, you're not making $1,000 coats, you're studying the construction, you're studying like all the really good construction, and you can later on try to incorporate as much of the good construction as possible, within your price point. But go look in nice shops and study how things are made, how facings are done, how linings are put in, how discreet the inner facing is, what the stitching looks like. Really study garment quality. Should I apply to be a master's program in fashion because I'm an international student? I can't apply for an undergrad. I don't know what that's referring to. Is there like a big beginner part of that question? I mean, I know a lot of people, they try to come to the US and the best way they can is to go through school. So if you're really dying to go to a specific country and the only way you can do it is to go to the school and you can afford it, why not? Have you ever played with acrylic wash? I have a set someone gifted to me literally 3 years ago. 3? 2? More than 2 years ago. And I still haven't played with it. I keep meaning to. I know Zoe doesn't like Project Runway. I'm glad Sebastian won season 17. I think season 18 will have a black male winner. Diversity. Met Christian Siriano when he came to Harvard. Super nice to me and funny. Well, I'm glad you had a good interaction with him. I'm sorry. Like that sounded really weird. I didn't mean it for it to sound really weird. I'm just trying to like catch up and read all the stuff while talking. Barney's closing, Zach Posen going under, Blahnik on Fifth Ave closing. Where do you see things going? All digital things are changing very rapidly. It's honestly a bit shocking. No. Barney's and Zach Posen. Okay, so I've already talked about the Barney's thing to death. Bottom line, they didn't change with the times. Okay. And fashion is too fast of an industry for you to be too egotistical to think that you don't have to change with the times. Every company has to change with the times to stay in business. And some people think that things are beneath them, that they don't want to do things that are beneath them to change with the times. But that's how you go bankrupt. Zach Posen, the Zach Posen thing was sad, but not a huge surprise. Because if you think about all the ways that fashion makes money, Zach Posen was not doing any of those things, for better or for worse. Okay. And, right now, where is the money in fashion? The money is in beauty. The beauty industry is booming. Okay. And accessories is booming. And Zach Posen didn't have his fingers in any of the pies that make money. And Zach Posen is a huge name in fashion, but for a brand that's been around for 20 years, is Zach Posen really well known beyond fashion circles? He didn't. I mean, does he have a prosperous diffusion line where people can have access to him? He had a very boutique-y business, and it was small, and it was elite, and it was expensive, and it was beautiful. He did a lot of beautiful things, but if you don't pursue avenues of profit, then you're going to go under. And so all these things, it's about you have to move with the industry you're in. And this is true of every industry. You got to keep pace with the industry that you're in and the changes within the industry. And fashion moves faster than most industries, and you have to just keep going with it. It costs tens of thousands of dollars to sponsor. It becomes cost prohibitive. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna skip that. London calling. Rab, what would be the shipping on that? Because that's way cheaper than I could get one. Rab, go to ichiroya.com. I'm gonna put that in the. That's where I buy things, and then you can also buy things on Etsy. So, yeah, you're gonna have to check because kimono come in all different weights. You can have like thick layers of very heavy silk, or you can have like one layer of cotton. So shipping is probably going to be contingent on the weight. Rab, I saw your tweet and you asked me, I think, something about a grown ass man owning too many hoodies. And judging from your tweets, you're not a grown ass man. So I think you can have as many hoodies as you want. I'm just messing with you. I don't know how many, it's too many. I have a lot of hoodies. Some of them are like really old, but I love them. They're like wearable blankies. Oh, did you go to AAU, Melissa? Cool. I recently discovered TechPacker. Which product management software do you suggest? I don't have a recommendation. Sorry. Thanks for all the compliments. You're all the bomb. Oh my God, I'm so behind. What are all these? And people are giving me money and stuff. What the? I am so behind. How can a fashion designer compare with the digital world in the market? Those are like two different things. I don't understand your question. I've worked intensively in fashion for 26 years, almost died from liver disease caused by the chemical finishes on fabric. Anyone else have this problem? Not that I've heard of. But if anyone else here in the chat has, raise your hand. I'm going to San Francisco State University for their merchandising program. What do you think about SF fashion scene? SF doesn't really have a fashion scene. They have a wearable tech scene. And I've been living in the Bay Area since 2004. I lived in San Francisco for a while, and then I moved to Oakland. And, the old mayor, before he passed away, he tried to revive the San Francisco fashion. When you're trying to build up a fashion industry, a garment industry within a city, you need the backing of the local government to work on infrastructure, and tax rates and all that stuff in order to really grow a garment industry. And he tried, but he ultimately wasn't particularly successful. But because we're Silicon Valley and because there's so much tech, wearable tech is something that people can get on board with around here, especially with VCs and tech guys. They want to look cool, but also want their stuff to be doing things. So that's really where it is. Wearable tech. Like Beta Brand is, I think, the most fashion forward out of all the wearable tech, where they have dress pants that function like yoga pants, and they do like antimicrobial silver knitted sweaters and things like that. And that's the stuff this local scene is really into. I'm a teacher. I have a grade school student who loves fashion. I have a play coming up. Do you think I should have her help me sew costumes? I mean, the first time I was on a sewing machine, ever was I was 8 years old. I was in Girl Scouts, and we had these home sewing machines, and we made these very basic skirts. And I think basically we sewed 3 seams each, highly supervised. And it was super fun. If you can think of some easy things to do that I mean, even grade school, like it really depends. Like if a person is 12, they can do a lot of things as opposed to someone who's 6. So depending on their skill level, their attention span, maybe you can have their parent around for supervision around sharp things like fabric scissors and sewing machines. Um, you know, maybe make them a little task list. But my first internship was at a costume department of an opera house, and just making costumes and working backstage, helping people into their costumes and stuff was like a great learning experience. So, think about the things that they can do specifically for their age range and what kind of supervision you can have. University of Arts, San Francisco. I don't even know what that school is. White Raven, thanks for the $5. How hard is it getting your own designs made? It completely depends on the type of garment. Um, I mean, getting a t-shirt made is so simple. Like pretty much anyone can sew a t-shirt. Like a handmade corset, a ball gown, like those are all really difficult. So it really is about get the garment itself. And what you need to do is remember when I said to go to Fashion Decks and go look up their contractors and call around. All these different contractors, they have specializations, a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And there are going to be places where they only do denim and different kinds of woven cotton pants. And there's going to be a lot of places where they do t-shirts and t-shirt dresses because they have the cover stitch machines and things like that. So, when you're talking to these factories about getting your stuff made, make sure you ask them what kind of garments that they specialize in, what they're good at, what their specialty is. Any content or topics you'd like to start doing for your channel that you haven't focused on? Actually, I'll tell you right now. What I'm actually going to be doing is starting a podcast on my Patreon, and it's going to be available for my current patrons right now. I'm going to start in January, and I'm going to open it up at a new price bracket in February. But you don't need to know all that. Basically, I'm going to start a podcast on my Patreon in January, and it's going to cover more like micro topics, because the problem with YouTube is if you don't get a certain number of viewers to each video that is a percentage of your subscribers, the algorithm really punishes you, and it's very, very annoying. But on Patreon with my podcasts, I don't have to stick to general topics that I think will be extremely popular. I can start talking more about the things that I think are important. Because sometimes, a lot of the time, what's important isn't always popular. Runway reviews are very popular on YouTube, but I don't particularly find them very important. So I'm going to be focusing on more of those topics on my podcast in 2020. Happy birthday, Brenda, on Friday. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Do. That's right. So much homework. Have you worked with Luke Story? I don't know who that is. I still don't know who Bernadette Banners is. Zoe, is it possible to be a traditional medium designer? I do not know what that is. If you're talking about traditional historical garments, Uh, Honestly, that really depends on the country and whether or not people really wear them. It is my understanding in India, there are still a lot of people who wear traditional dress. I have Indian American friends in the US who go back for weddings and still need to buy saris and other traditional garments for big celebrations and to go home and things like that. So, but not every country does. So I think that's kind of what that is. Bernadette Banner is more of a cosplay corsetry YouTuber. She seems to know her stuff though. Oh, that's cool. I was really big into corsetry for many years. I still find the subject very interesting, and a good corset is a good corset. Do do do. Traditional materials. Again, I don't know what you mean by traditional materials, okay? Because you could say that silk is a traditional material because it's been around for hundreds of years. Silk is always going to be around. People are trying to mimic silk and its strength and its luster and its beauty in different ways because it's so popular. It will always be around. These questions, though, I don't know what that means. Zoe's going to blow up as having the most worthwhile fashion YouTube. Find her algorithm overload. Why is my internet connection unstable? Could you do a fashion district history series? Mm, there are some topics that kind of seem like a niche, interesting subject, but it's not something that's really important to fashion designers. And I try to stick to content that's important for designers to learn. And the reason for that is there's already so many things a designer has to know about construction, about design, the different kinds of design, about fabric, about color, that to add other things it's pretty demanding. Your question about autoimmune disease and garment industry workers, Helen, I do not have a lot of information on autoimmune disease within garment workers. It's not something I've heard about a lot. But also, back when I was working a full-time day job in the fashion industry, we didn't talk about our health problems to each other. It's not, you know, most people do not discuss their health issues at work with their coworkers. And that's something that you deal with your boss, with your HR. So I don't have any knowledge about that. Give the live stream a like, y'all. Yes, thank you. Done. Oh, I missed it again. I missed this thing. I love breaking down garments I've had for years and reusing the materials to make other things. I recently broke down my graduation dress. Very nice. I'm gonna go over this in a future episode of Fashion History, but something that a lot of women did in the 40s during World War II was to take apart their Belle Epoque era dresses from their grandmother, all these heirlooms, because those dresses had a lot of yardage, especially in the skirt. And they would take apart these dresses and remake them into modern cut dresses with that fabric because of all the fabric rationing back then. I thought that was always so cool. And so sometimes you'll see like slight color differences in panels because sun bleaching from certain things like had like uneven colors in some other dresses and stuff. I've always liked that. GSM in fabric weight and how to calculate it. That's grams per square or grams per meter. And that is a metric system thing that I'm not familiar with. Every fabric or category of fabric has a different way it's weighed so that when you buy it or when you read a description, you can understand it. So, for example, denim is often done in ounces in the US. Like a 10-ounce denim is more of a summer weight. 16-ounce denim is like that stiff selvage stuff, winter denim. Silk is often done in mummies, MOMMES. So, a charmeuse will be 12 mummies. A heavy charmeuse will be 24 mummies. Duchess satin is like 54 mummies. And silk chiffon is 8 mummies. Really light, right? So basically, the higher the number, the heavier it is. Okay. But how heavy a fabric is does not explain how drapey it is. So, because like heavy charmeuse and lighter satins, they can have a similar mummy, but the drape will be different, but it's just an indication of how heavy and thick the fabric is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys write nice things. I find returns in the clearance section. Some nice stores actually in disgusting clothes return. Why? Because stores have to figure out what to do with returns because they have these very generous return policies and people take advantage of that. And so some people, they'll wear a dress to a party and then they'll return it. And so now they have this dress. What are you going to do? And a lot of the time, a lot of these huge retailers like ASOS, they just dump returns into the landfill instead of trying to sell it again. So actually dumping them in the clearance bin is probably the best route because the store is acknowledging that they cannot expect you to pay full price for a return garment, but they're going to give it a shot at someone saying, oh, I could fix this and wear this. I can afford this, instead of immediately dumping it into a landfill. Melissa, 2016 grad. You must have been there when I was there. I was teaching from 2012 to 2017. But it's a big school, so it doesn't surprise me if you weren't in any of my classes. Is it absolutely necessary to have a degree in fashion to work in the industry? Go watch my Do I Need School. I go over all the different scenarios of Academy of Art University in San Francisco. Yes. I taught at the Academy of Art University in San Francisco. And a lot of people confuse that with Arts Institute, which is totally different. Art Institute is a chain of schools across the U.S. Academy of Art is a 4-year university that is specific to San Francisco, has like 100 campuses across the city, and teaches a lot more than just fashion. It's a good school. It has a good reputation in the industry, and some of their top master's students and a very few bachelor students will show at New York Fashion Week every year. I live in Westchester, New York, wondering if you had any advice on getting costuming, wardrobe jobs, and theater shows. Is it as simple as emailing, contact, walking into the office? Because I'd like to help construct costumes for theater. I don't normally see ads for wardrobe stuff other than wardrobe master / mistress. So I would like you to go watch that video where I interview Shirley Idzakovich, who is a costume designer working out of New York City. She does Broadway and also she does movies. She recently did like this tiny project for Star Wars, which she's still so freaking excited about, which is hilarious because she's never seen a single Star Wars. But she's awesome. We text all the time, and that interview was really good about how to go about finding work. So go check that out. I just found this channel 20 minutes ago. Okay, welcome, newbie. James, you're late. Had a small emergency. I hope that was a fashion emergency and not like an actual one. How to find angel investors. Fashion is not cheap. That's a good question. Angel investors are really about networking. It's really about who you know. So you need to go to, if you need to find business partners and angel investors, you need to step out of fashion networking events and attend business networking events in your local area. Okay. You need to go to those and talk to business people who are interested in the business side of things, because that's where VC guys go. That's where investors go, business people, and have this kind of idea of what your business is structured like and not just your design, because investors are not super concerned with, your beautiful aesthetics or your vision. They're really interested in how you're going to make money. So go into those business networking events with an elevator pitch as to how your company is going to make money, how you're going to revolutionize fashion with this product that's going to make money. I'm in bits here. That's about the closest I've had to a compliment in the longest time. Rob, that's sad. I hope you're doing good. I know your country is not doing great. Hello, hello. Come through deep dive. Podcast sounds good. If only YouTube algorithms would highlight quality content more often. Is what I'm saying, okay? But, I got to do what I can with the tools that I have. I don't want to bash YouTube too much because it has given me this really fantastic platform and it has given me a lot of opportunities. And I'm not just trying to kiss YouTube's butt. YouTube really has given me a great platform, but I do have to play by their rules in order to take advantage of their platform. And so I have to produce the popular content so that my channel can get attention, so I can have more opportunities, so I can write the books, and you get it, right? Thank you. Happy holidays to you too. Oh, thanks for the $5, Sophia. Is the fashion pie too small now that since China is gobbling up almost everything? I'm not really sure what you mean by that. I mean, China is a huge market because there's like a bajillion million people there. But listen, I know that there are fashion instructors in the world and on social media who focus on other aspects of the fashion design process, and they probably wonder why I obsess over design process so much. Because if you have watched all 300 something of my videos, then you know I'm super obsessed with design process and product development and the right ways of going about these things. Because at the end of the day, the good products shine. Okay. You need PR, you need business help and all these things, but you need a good product. Of course, it helps to be famous, But most of y'all are not famous, so let's not think about tools that we don't have. We're talking about tools that we do have and can earn, and that is developing a beautiful product. And to me, the number one sustainable thing that we can do is to offer a product that people want to have and to keep and pass on to their kids instead of tossing it into a landfill after you wear it one time. Okay. And so I'm obsessive about it. And so if you can, it's like when people ask me all the time, Zoe, I want to start a YouTube channel, but like YouTube is so congested and it's so full of people. And so I can't make space. But I see new YouTubers building channels and cropping up all the time. It's because they put in the dedication, they put in the work. When I started my YouTube channel, I was not famous. I did not have any kind of social media standing anywhere. I didn't have a popular blog. I didn't have a huge Twitter following. I had none of those things. I had 500 followers on Instagram, the end. And they were mostly my students. They're like keeping tabs on me after class. So there are some things that are within your control, and there are some things that are not within your control. And how much the market is taking over in China is not within your control, really. You can focus on building the best product, getting your name out there, hiring excellent PR, working your social media, having a business partner who's a whiz with numbers. Those are things you can control. Speaking of silk, I know a PhD student using biomechanical engineering to put spider genes in silkworms to increase output of such a strong material. Yeah, so spider silk is like, scientists are blown away by the qualities and properties of spider silk, and they're constantly trying to mimic that chemically, and they just can't. They just can't. So now they're putting them in silkworms, which is kind of bananas. Silkworms. So you know how people, like, there's that whole biblical saying that's kind of worked its way into pop culture, like the world is going to be taken over by a pack of locusts. Everything is being eaten by a pack of locusts. And I don't think so. I think that when the world ends, we're going to be taken over by silkworms, eating everything in sight. Because if you've ever seen silkworms chow down on a mulberry tree, it is the craziest thing. When I was staying at that farmhouse in Japan, our teacher had just gotten brand new baby silkworms, and he had them on these trays, and they were literally 10 feet from my bedroom door. And so I used to check them out every morning, and I used to help feed them in the evenings. And he would pile branch over branch over branch of mulberry leaves on top of the silkworms, like this high, just leaves and leaves on this big tray. And we would set it up like that right before we went to sleep. And then I would go into my bedroom, and then I would wake up in the morning and come out to check on the silkworms. And the silkworms had grown like twice as big, and they were just like sitting on top of the branches with no more leaves on it. It's like, shut up. Scary. Thank you to the newbies. Is there any work of fiction which you think has cool fashion in it? You should check out my fashion movie review videos. I have a whole playlist. I think I only have 3 videos though. And I talk about different fashion documentaries, but also cool movies where I think the fashion is cool in them. Okay, Amaris. I have autism and struggling with many things. Can I become a fashion designer using traditional drawing materials? I hope I clarified my question. I think you did clarify your question. However, the drawing materials that you use are not important, because fashion design is not the drawing. Fashion design is the resulting clothing. If you want to be an illustrator, you can make a living being an illustrator using any medium you want. That's fine. If you want to be a fashion designer, sketching is only one step in the process, but your final result is the clothing. So I don't think you need to be focusing on your drawing materials at all. You need to be focusing on studying fabric and how different fabrics function in clothing form. Newest textile innovation you are excited about? Well, just that spider silk thing that we were just talking about a second ago is kind of crazy cool. And right now, there's a lot of these fake leathers coming out. And the reason why I'm so excited about these fake leathers is because they're not petroleum products. I am not excited about fake fur because fake fur are petroleum products. And so you can either wear real fur and kill an animal, or you can wear fake fur and kill lots of things with petroleum products. So fake fur doesn't excite me. Fake leather excites me because most of these new fake leathers that are coming out are being made with like Piñatex is made out of not pineapples, but the harvest waste of pineapples, all the greens that grow around pineapples and all that stuff that they usually junk. They're turning that into leather like fabrics. They're making leather out of fruit peels. They're making leather out of mushrooms and cacti, sorry. That's really interesting to me because those are renewable, sustainable resources. Yvette, City College, one of the instructors mentioned you did an illustrated event this year and it's sold out. Will you be hosting another in 2020? If they invite me, I would. I had a very good time with their fashion club teaching a little mini workshop. It was super awesome. So yeah, if they invite me, I'll do it again. Oh my God, I lost my place again. I think that's the most disgusting thing to do. I've heard a few vloggers do that. It's shameless. What? I don't know. I don't know what that is. Okay. Okay, we're totally over an hour, but I'm going to try to wrap up the questions because I know I missed last month, so we can go a little bit longer today. I can buy reduced price returns so long as they're not full of crabs and crotch hair. True that. Yeah, the thing is, I have always washed my clothes before I wore them, even brand new ones, because I've seen the inside of sewing factories and they are not the most sanitary, especially underwear. Listen, I used to have a stepsister who would buy underwear instead of doing laundry, and it used to drive me crazy. Okay. And I don't use that word lightly, but like it made me bananas because I just kept thinking of just dirty underwear being made in these not clean sewing factories, because when you pay those, like, and she would just put them on, obviously on her bare body without washing them. And we shared a room for a while and I would just, don't say anything, don't say anything, don't say anything. One time I did say something. She didn't change. She's like, whatever. She want to do laundry. So yeah, I wash everything before I wear them anyway, unless it's like an emergency or a coat. Like a coat you're putting on top of clothes anyway. Dude. Thank you. You all are very nice. I'm thinking about going to FIT for fashion design or advertising, marketing, or communication. Is it hard to find work? Are there any FIT people here who can speak to your experience? Bonjour from France. I'm a French lady. Hello, French lady. Greetings from Singapore. YouTube is a whiny bitch. James, be good. Be nice. Happy early birthday, Sagittarius Squad. We are deep in Sagittarius season. I like it. I'm 40, y'all. I am 40 years old. Hey. Okay, listen, this is embarrassing because Ms. Barrera, you have been following me for a long time. I don't know how to pronounce your first name. Is it Dulce? Because the American way would be to say Dulce. I don't want to say it wrong, so if you could like write out how you pronounce it, that would be awesome. What I want are metallic shoes that fit my wide feet. I think you can search, like when you're shopping online for shoes, you could search for like wide shoes. We love you in Oklahoma. Thanks, Oklahoma. I have never been, but my best friend from high school, Sarah, she grew up there. Can we work as a fashion design freelancer without any experience in the industry? Sure, we all have to start somewhere. You just have to convince someone to give you a shot, and then you take it from there and you start building your portfolio. Hello, Zoe. Bizia from Mexico. I'm a very mature student starting to study fashion in January. Well, good luck. AJ, nothing but a number. I have a lot of viewers on my channel. They'll leave me comments saying things like, I'm in my 60s and I put my career on hold because I was raising kids, but they're all off in college now. So I have all this free time to do whatever I want. So now I'm having fun with fashion and watching your videos. I'm like, I'm into it. I like it. Are you also mad about the greenwashing from these companies like H&M? I get mad and then I laugh and then I get mad again because they are literally the worst. Who wants to rent clothes from H&M? Give me a freaking break. The reality is the only way that H&M can really help fashion by being more sustainable is to stop making so much stuff. Excess inventory dumped into landfills, just too much stuff that's made super poorly by super just cheap materials that fall apart. So even if you're someone who takes good care of their clothes, you know, you're working with ground zero, they don't want to face the reality of what they need to do. They know what they need to do. They don't want to do it. And so they're coming up with all this bullshit instead. That got angry. Okay. Where can I get a Juki Industrial? There are a lot of sewing machine companies. I know there's some fashion stuff happening in Miami. You should look up. I got my Juki at a sewing machine store in Los Angeles. So, but you might also try the fashion decks and see if you can find any machiners. Also, if you go to a fabric store, you might ask if they know of what is around town, because a lot of the ladies who work at fabric stores, sorry, that was sexist. There's some dudes there too, but all the people that work at fabric stores, they are often aware of what other resources related to fabric are in the local area, so you might try to ask them. Oh, see, now people are helping you in the chat. I love it. I'm traveling to Japan and China in a couple of days. What would you buy if you were starting to study fashion design? So I've never been to China. I have been to Japan. I've been to Tokyo and Kyoto, but I don't have a lot of resources for Kyoto because I was sick for part of it. In Japan, in Tokyo, there are two places that I think would be great for you to visit. Obviously, just people watching and getting inspired in Japan is going to be unbelievable. There is this neighborhood in Tokyo, in central Tokyo, like right in the middle, called Textile Town or Fabric Town. And it's like right off the train station. There's a whole street and it's all fabric and garment making supplies up and down the street. It's fantastic. I spent entirely too much money there, but also just looking at all the amazing fabrics was fantastic. And then you want to hit the art supply stores in Tokyo. Sakaido Sekkaido. Is like some kind of art supply mecca. It's 4 or 5 floors. I think it's 5 floors, but I didn't go to the top one because it's just framing, frames for your artwork. But every time I go, I'm like, it's so magical here. But there are, just look up some art supply stores. Sakkaido is the biggest one. Tokyo Hands. So it's Tokyu, Tokyu, not Tokyo. Tokyo Hands in Tokyo is also a great store. It has everything. It has 11 stories, and it has stationery, it has art supplies, it has cheap Copics, it has fabrics, it has household stuff, and also like sporting goods, but also like all the artsy stuff. That's also a really fun hang. And then if you want to shop vintage, like kimono and stuff, go to Harajuku. And what was the hardest part of fashion school for you? The fact that I had to work. I don't come from money, so I had to work 3 part-time jobs while I was going to school, and I always felt I was always like when I was working, I always felt a little bit bitter that I didn't have all the time I wanted to do the homework assignments. And, a lot of these fashion internships don't pay. And I was making good money being an English tutor, and I had to save money for future semesters. I almost didn't come back my senior year on time because of the money issue. And so, all my friends were taking these really cool internships, but I had to do the money making thing. I did eventually find a fashion internship that paid me a reasonable wage, but I was still making more money as an English tutor because by then I had a very good reputation as an English tutor among, Korean kids in LA. And so I was making a lot of money that way. And yeah, when you're 21 and you're going to an expensive private art school, you're like, I got to put away this money. And that was the hardest part, was time management and trying to figure out internships, because of course you want those internships on your resume, so you're entering the job market with some experience. And that's something that still bothers me about these free internships, because basically you're giving a leg up to people who already have a leg up by coming from families who can afford to pay their rent for even longer. And so, you already have the rich people's privilege of having money, and then you can pursue all the internships that you want because you don't have to worry about being paid. So you're just helping rich people get richer, and these poor kids who are struggling do not get the same opportunities. It is still a sore spot for me, but for other people, like I have outgrown internships, but it's for my students now. I wish they could all have, because when someone is running their own business and they're doing everything by themselves, and they have one employee, and they try to hire an intern to come in once or twice a week, and they can't pay them very much, that's one thing. But if you're Marc Jacobs or Rihanna and your internships don't pay, you ain't got no excuse. Do you know how much money you have? Like, you could hire an intern and actually pay them a wage for your pocket money. Like, you have that money in your couch in coins, okay? Whatever. Anyways, back to questions. Which book is best for studying fabrics and its functional part? The fabric swatch book. If you go to my Amazon store, I have a storefront on Amazon, and it has all my book recommendations. So you could check out all my book recommendations. And the link to my Amazon shop is, I'm just going to post it. Hold on. There it is. What I'd like to see is inexpensive metals for jewelry aside from steel that won't tarnish. That is so outside my experience and knowledge, but that would be nice. Those leathers sound rad. Yes, they do. I I need to make it more of a priority to get these samples, but honestly, my priority is the book. So these days, if it doesn't directly relate to the book, it just kind of like gets pushed to the side. It's like eating, sleeping, and the book is really what my life is right now. Are those fake leathers called pleathers? No, pleather is plastic leather. It's shameless to return clothes after you worn it at a party for no good reason. Yeah, they do it. People do it anyway. They do it all the time. Any ways we can support you? Uh, if you want to support me with money, you can join my Patreon. If you want to, or you can buy stuff from my Etsy store. If you want to support me and don't have the money to support me, which I totally understand, you can share links to my YouTube videos and my channel and my social media and just like grow my following base. You can share links to my Etsy store, my Amazon shop, because in my Amazon shop, the prices don't change for you all, but I do get a tiny cut of each sale. So you can share links to my Patreon, my Amazon, my Etsy, and stuff to other people so they can support me financially. You could do that. Thank you. Hold on. And there is my Patreon. James, I'm a vulgar person. Lol. I knew that. Do you think the fashion industry will embrace plus size models as the norm one day? Yes. We have to keep at it. We have to keep demanding it because for better or for worse, you know, stores who are interested, companies that are interested in their own well-being will pay attention to their customers. And so we just have to keep demanding it. You can cut the cringe with a knife. How do you think you can mix patterns from different places? Can you do that? Do you mean like mix patterns in an outfit or in a garment? I mean, mixing patterns is kind of like an art that you have to practice. So if you're talking about having one garment have multiple patterns or prints on them, then you just have to test them out. It's a lot of it has to do with colors and how well the colors work together. And that involves studying color theory. Now I'm going to be thinking about dirty underwear when I see underwear. You should, and you should wash your underwear before you wash it from the store, before you wear it from the store. You're welcome. Hi, I'm from Morocco. Oh my God, Morocco is on my travel wish list for 2020. I've like started looking into Marrakesh and Fez, and my friend Chenyi went last year or earlier this year. She rode camels. I want it. Oh man, I miss my ah. Zoe, I went to the Schreier exhibit at the Met. How was it? Let me know. I want to start a fashion club in my school, but how do I start off? I think that for the most part, if you want a legit club at a school, you have to have one of the professors be the faculty sponsor or something like that. So you need to talk to the administration at your school about your school's specific process to have like an official formal club for your school, and then talk to your favorite professor about being the faculty sponsor and, inviting some students. I'm going to hell, aren't I? That's between you and your conscience, James. You're late, but I'll leave this up so you can rewatch it. I hate fast fashion. Share your anger. I'm on Twitter sharing my anger every day. Zoe, we're all dudes. No. Dudes is not gender neutral. People think dude is gender neutral, especially Californians think dude is gender neutral. But I'll tell you the difference, okay? If you ask a straight man, do you have sex with dudes? He will automatically say, no way. Because dudes is not gender neutral. This is why I say party people. Party people is neutral, gender neutral. I got another comment the other day from somebody who was like, I'm not a party person. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Go get a sense of humor and then come back to the channel. I'm applying to design school at Parsons. Do you have any advice for what to include in the portfolio or what to expect when I'm attending? I did not go to Parsons, so I cannot tell you what to expect when you're attending. Actually, I haven't been to fashion school in so long. I'm sure that every program is different, but you really need to contact the admissions department of the school you're applying to for questions on your portfolios, because every school has different requirements. And so what works for Parsons is not going to work for Savannah, vice versa. Kaopectate. Y'all are having a conversation I don't know, which is fine. Y'all make friends and have fun. It's fine. Dulce. It's pronounced dulce. Okay, I can dig it. Dulce. Sakaido. Talk to admissions. Yeah. I go nuts in art supply stores anywhere. Me too. One time I went to Amsterdam and I bought a bunch of stuff, and somebody was giving me crap because I didn't buy anything Dutch. And I'm like, it's just stuff I don't have. I just like stuff I don't have. Like, whatever. Got any seasonal shopping tips? Someone was talking about how to work on your personal budget. This was on Facebook, and this is my personal Facebook, and I don't do anything about work on my personal Facebook. So please do not try to friend me on my personal Facebook. It's literally for like my family and close personal friends. So people are talking about creating a personal budget. And my whole thing is, when I shop online, I put everything in my shopping cart that I want, and then I step away for minimum 24 hours. And then I come back and I only take the things that I really want. That way I don't do impulse purchases, stuff that I don't really need, because if I really need it, I'm going to need it in 24 hours. Okay. So that helps curb all of your crazy like mood shopping, retail therapy stuff, your impulse shopping, and waiting on your shopping cart is a great way of calming down and really only getting the stuff that you need. And sometimes I wait like 3 days to get the stuff. I've got to go to Japan. I'm planning to create bags or shoes portfolio for an interview. However, I'm a product designer. I usually start my project with problem issue research. I have no idea what kind of research to start with my bags and shoes. Well, you say you usually start your projects with a problem or issue research. And I think that's a great way to go about doing bag or shoes research. Like, think about a problem people have with their feet that they need for their shoes. Okay. And think about a problem people have with the kinds of bags. Like right now, the luggage industry is booming because, people are finding new and better ways to create suitcases. Like you've heard of those suitcases that have battery chargers for your phone. Everything is made to airline specifics to fit in the overhead compartment. So yeah, take a problem or an issue, talk to whoever your customer is, whether it's women or men or both, and talk to them about their needs for shoes. And, like, I want a really cool looking shoe that's made out of sustainable materials that don't rub the backs of my feet. Someone earlier was talking about how they're looking for metallic shoes for their wide feet. Like, talk to people. Hello, Cherry from the Philippines. Do do do. Preach about the money. Preach about the money. That's right. Poor kids deserve opportunities too. Tips for internship resume for no job experience in the fashion industry. SF has Levi Strauss and Gap merchandising internships. Like, do I need a super good cover letter? You always need a super good cover letter. Super good cover letters cover things that, if you want to explain something in your resume, that, your resume should be completely factual. Okay. And then your cover letter would be like, well, I have this gap in my job history because of this. And you should always specify in your cover letter why you want to work at that specific company and also that role. But like if you're applying to Levi's, throw in some stuff that about the Levi's company history and why you think it would be so amazing to work there and what you love about Levi's product. And honestly, you should wear some Levi's product and be like, my favorite go-to Levi's cut is their 501s because they make my butt look amazing. Something like that. People want to hire people who show that they have the potential of brand loyalty, company loyalty, who already love the company. That's the kind of person they want to hire. And you should cover letters. Like the number one thing, the one thing about is when it's so bland and generic that cover letter could have been sent to any company. And sometimes you don't know what company you're going to send it to because the job posting was on like a newspaper and you don't know. So of course you're going to be a little bit bland with that. But if you know the company that you're talking to, get real specific as to why you're dying to work for them. And that should be in your cover letter. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, la 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 la. Yep. What fashion things would you say are happening in Miami? Swimwear is always happening in Miami. Art Basel happens in Miami, I think, and that always draws like kind of like a mixed art, design, fashion crowd. But yeah, they have a very specific look. So, I mean, it's not a huge scene, but stuff happens there. Free internships are indentured servants. That's right. I just got accepted into... what happened? Oh. Oh, I lost my place again. Hello from Brazil. Hello, Brazil. Did Zoe already talk about the Met Gala theme? No, I did not. I'll probably Instagram something about it. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Dallas. In terms of Texas, I think Houston is the city that's kind of blowing up. I might be wrong. Bridal is big in Texas. So if you're into the bridal industry, that might be an avenue to pursue. It really depends on what market. Like I said, a lot of swimwear is done in LA and in Miami. The bridal industry is booming in Texas. So again, and here in the Bay Area, we have a lot of wearable tech going on. So depending on what you want to do. Dulce. Don't worry, it's Dulce, but nobody in the US can say it. Call me Candy or Olivia. I'm gonna call you all three. Dulce, Candy, Olivia. That's your new name now. Do do do. Come to Saudi Arabia. In Alola's ancient historical city you never saw. You will enjoy riding camels. You can do workshops about fashion. I would love that. If I could get a school to sponsor me to come out to Saudi Arabia and teach. I've had Saudi students. There are plenty of Saudi students at the Academy of Art. So I've had Saudi students in my classes. Do any thoughts on a field trip to Japan? I would love to go back. It is in my plans to go back. I told my Indigo teacher that I will just randomly show up on his doorstep and he better let me stay at the farmhouse and teach me more stuff. Do you watch the fashion design competition shows? No, I do not. And I keep track of Project Runway when I know one of the contestants. Last season, I had a former student and he was a finalist. And so I didn't watch episodes, but I kind of kept tabs on his progress. And that was really cool. But when I went to DC this past week for my birthday, I went to go visit one of my oldest friends, and she loves Project Runway. And when she makes me watch like little snippets, I just always end up yelling at the TV. So it's really not good for my blood pressure. I mentioned fashion, like what should I introduce in the club? Texture, fabric, sewing. You should introduce what you think the school is not having enough of. Like maybe you can make it about networking. Maybe you can the club can work together to reach out to event venues so that you can get hired as volunteers. Something that my friends and I love to do in fashion school is work backstage at runway shows. And it was LA, and so there was not as much as New York, but definitely opportunities to do that. And that was super fun. And while I do not think that unpaid internships, they are not cool, but like one night where you're volunteering at a runway show, like I think those opportunities are cool because they do not get in the way of paying your rent or your bills. And these things can be fun. You can meet new people, and the excitement of working on a runway show is always fun. So maybe you can team up to contact different companies, different event venues, different fashion companies, and be like, we go to the school and, we want to be your volunteers when you do an event, things like that. Create opportunities for yourself. And I'm assuming that other subjects like textiles will be taught by your professors. I really want to know your lip color. Oh, my lip color, honestly, it doesn't really show up accurately on the screen, but this is Lisa Eldridge. Who follows Lisa Eldridge on YouTube? She's amazing. She has a line of lipsticks. This one is Velvet Jazz. It's like wearing out in the corners right now because I've been talking so much, but okay. Will this be available to watch later? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. How the heck do you get shoe designs made? Just like you get clothes made, you find a factory that makes shoes. And it's even like, people make shoes by hand, but it's much harder to do. But I've actually know a few people who have been taking shoemaking workshops, And one of them took a class in Chicago. It's like a 3-day course. And then another one took like a 2-day course in LA. So you can look up shoemaking workshops and then kind of get your handle on making shoes, but really you should get a factory to make your shoes. Do ah Moskva. Hello, Moscow. Yes, I do read a tiny bit of Russian. I mean, I do know the alphabet and stuff. My vocabulary for Russian is not very good. Thank you for the advice on cover letters. Bane of my existence, even when you have a job. Listen, it's easier to look for a job when you already have a job. Hey Zoe, I live in Los Angeles. I want to design my own prom dress. I'm not that good in order to sew my dress. Wondering if you know any affordable freelance dressmakers in LA. I do not know of any tailors, but I'm sure there are so many. It is the lip color. It is a blue undertone. It's a darker red than I usually wear on camera. But yeah, look up Lisa Eldridge's Velvet Jazz. I like it. I think South Korea and China would be, focal points for many fashion designers and companies. Yeah, I mean, fashion is always trying to seek out the new thing. And, we've been fixated on Europe for a long time. And so sometimes the pendulum will swing and people will be interested in what's happening in East Asia. Project Runway is still on. Yes, it is. Hello from Baltimore. Hey, Baltimore. I was just there. My friend Sarah lives there. And I went to the Maryland Historical Society to check out that Spectrum of Fashion exhibit. You should go check that out if you're in Baltimore. I think it's free for Baltimore residents, but don't quote me on that last part. But the Spectrum of Fashion exhibit was really cool. What petition? All right, I'm sure I'll say it, whatever. Kombucha leather. Okay. I'm in high school. Do you think they would let that happen? Volunteering? Maybe. I mean, I guess maybe not the exact kinds of things. Maybe not runway shows because usually they have booze backstage, or they would pay us in drink tickets, so you might have to wait. But you could work different events for sure, and you can check out like theaters. When I had my opera house internship, I was in high school, and I was 17 for a big chunk of that internship. And I worked backstage in wardrobe, and I helped people, actors and singers, get dressed, and I was ironing clothes, and helping just like all the nitty-gritty pre-show stuff. And so, theaters could need volunteers. You can really look into a lot of things that are more appropriate for the not drinking crowd. All right, I got to wrap this up. We are approaching the 2-hour mark. Chicago School of Shoemaking and Leatherwork does hobby level workshops. They also started a master shoemakers program a couple years ago. Yeah, I think that was the workshop that I'm in this little circle of makers in the Bay Area, and one of them had gone. And I think that's one of the workshop things that they did. I love how people are just like pointing other people to videos that they should watch because I missed their question. What are your thoughts on attending online fashion school, particularly fashion business? If they are, if they are an accredited, legit educational institute, I don't see why not. Hello from Kyrgyzstan. Hello. How do you stay motivated and what way do you use for this? I lose my motivation from time to time. Do you mean like you have a hard time finishing projects because you kind of lose interest? Because sometimes it's a matter of doing different things. I kind of have a short attention span, so I generally work on two or three projects at the same time. Working on my book right now, I'm working on two or three chapters at a time because when I don't want to work on this chapter, I work on this chapter. So maybe you need to be working on two things at the same time. Thank you. Thank you. All right, James, go ask a straight guy if they have sex with dudes. Your drawings are pretty. Will you ever sell art prints on Etsy? I guess I could, but it's not the focus of my career. If I had an employee and they set up stuff where they scam my work and they set up the listings and stuff and dealt with all of that, because that requires more time than people think. Hmm. You're from Cupertino and SF. I live in Oakland. I did not want super interested in. Hey. Okay, I think that's it. I went totally over time because I missed November's uh, live stream because of stuff that was happening at home. Thank you so much for everyone who showed up. And mm, okay, I just got a whole bunch of new stuff that just popped up immediately. But yeah, I've already gone 50 minutes over, so I'm going to close up. But if you want to leave other questions and stuff in the comment section of this live stream once the replay is set, feel free. And I will see y'all next month. So again, uh, previous newly produced videos will be happening every first Tuesday and then live stream every third Tuesday of the month until this dang book is finished. Oh my God. But thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for all the super amazing compliments you paid me. I appreciate it. Go check out Lisa Eldridge's lipsticks. They're amazing. And that's it. Good night. Why is this not paying attention to me? There we go.